You ever feel like you're trying to drink from a fire hose of all the new tech info flooding in, especially anything related to AI?
Oh, absolutely. It feels like every single day there's some new, amazing thing that's going to change everything.
It can be a bit overwhelming, right?
Totally.
That's exactly why we're doing this.
Right.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of information and really kind of dig down to find the interesting and, crucially, the useful stuff.
Exactly. We're not just skimming headlines here. Today, you flagged a really interesting source for us.
Yeah.
A YouTube video reviewing an A-Press ebook called Erstellen der intelligenten Apps mit .NET und Azure KI-Diensten.
Okay. Quite a mouthful. German, right.
Yep. Which, for those of us not fluent, means something like creating intelligent apps with .NET and Azure AI services.
I gotcha.
In this book, according to the review anyway, it seems packed with information. It says it's got 8 chapters, 209 pages.
Right. And what we want to do for everyone listening today is, well, cut through any potential confusion and really get a handle on what's possible when you start building these intelligent applications.
Oh, okay.
We're going to do that by focusing on one really practical example that the video highlights. Think of it as us guiding you through the key insights so you can see the real potential here.
Makes sense. So according to this ebook review, where does this whole exploration actually kick off?
Well, the video tells us that the first chapter, Einführung Introduction, it really just sets the stage.
Okay.
Explains the basics of artificial intelligence, the fundamentals. Then it pretty quickly moves into Microsoft's Azure platform.
Right, the cloud services.
Exactly. And it points out that there were 13 different AI services available in Azure when the book was actually put together.
13, okay.
But what's really striking, and the video mentions this, is how quickly this area of Azure is growing. So there could easily be even more than 13 now. It just emphasizes how fast things are moving.
It certainly does. That landscape changes constantly. So after that intro, setting the scene, what's next?
Then the ebook apparently delves into the actual building process, across the next 7 chapters.
Okay, the practical stuff.
Yeah, and the video gives a quick overview of the, honestly, surprisingly wide range of apps that are covered in the book.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, we're talking about apps that can translate text, which, that feels immediately useful for so many people, right?
Definitely.
But then it goes further, looking at how to pull text from images, even specifically from invoices.
Oh, interesting. Like OCR for billing.
Exactly. You can immediately see the potential time savings for businesses there.
For sure.
The book also looks at how to automatically categorize documents, how to generate text from spoken words.
Speech to text.
Right. And how to summarize long documents.
Yeah.
It really shows you just how many different problems these tools can start to tackle.
That's quite a list. And what's interesting there, as the video explains it, is that each of these chapters essentially focuses on one specific Azure AI service and then demonstrates how you'd apply it to build that specific kind of intelligent app.
Right. So it's very example-driven.
Exactly. That hands-on approach seems key. It's not just theory. It's showing you how to actually do it.
Precisely. And while all those different app ideas sound really cool, we wanted to, really dig into one specific example ourselves.
Okay, focus in a bit.
Yeah. The video highlights an app that's built using something called .NET MAUI.
MAUI, right. Multi-platform app UI.
That's the one. Now, if you're not deep in the dev world, this is a framework Microsoft brought out in 2022 with .NET C.
Fairly recent, then.
Yeah, and the video mentions it's integrated directly into Visual Studio when you install it. So it's right there.
Convenient.
Apparently, the book even has 2 entire chapters dedicated just to building apps with .NET MAUI.
Wow. Okay, so it's a core part of the book's approach.
Seems like it. Which tells you something about its importance in this context, right?
It does. And the particular example that the video emphasizes, the one we're focusing on, what was that again?
It's how to create an application that can take an image and just extract the text contained within it.
Ah, okay. Image text extraction. That immediately brings a lot of very real-world scenarios to mind.
It really does. And the ebook gives a very clear illustration of one of those. Picture a museum.
Okay.
That has this huge collection of old documents, maybe hundreds of years old, all preserved as image files. JPEGs, scans, whatever.
Right. Digitized archives.
Exactly. Now, think about how valuable it would be for visitors to be able to just snap a photo of one of those documents with their phone and have the text inside extracted and made available to them, maybe translated even.
That's a fantastic and very understandable use case. Solves a real problem.
That's the core problem that this example application in the book aims to solve.
Okay, so how does it actually do that? What's the tech?
Well, to make this kind of text extraction possible, the ebook introduces the Azure AI Vision Service.
Ah, the Vision Service.
This is the central technology from Azure that provides the ability to analyze images and pull out text.
So it's specialized for visual input.
Right. And the video breaks down some of the main things this Vision Service can do. It's pretty comprehensive, actually.
Like what else?
Beyond just taking text out of images, it can also generally analyze the content of an image, recognize faces, perform spatial analysis.
Spatial analysis, what's that?
Like understanding the layout of objects in a room, maybe.
Sure.
It can even detect if a person is present in a video stream.
Wow, okay, so it's a pretty versatile set of tools for anything visual.
Definitely sounds like it.
It certainly seems that way. And for developers actually trying to use this service, the video points out something quite helpful.
Which is?
That there are client SDKs available for many different programming languages.
Ah, software development kits.
Yeah, exactly. Think of these as ready-made code libraries that make it much simpler to connect to these Azure services from your own applications. You don't have to handle all the low-level communication details.
Takes away some of the heavy lifting.
Precisely. But for those using languages that maybe don't have a specific SDK.
There's always one, isn't there?
Well, yeah. But the option to use the REST API is also there.
Okay, the web standard.
Right. Another standard way for systems to talk over the internet. So there's flexibility.
Now, getting started with all of this, it might sound a bit daunting, maybe? Setting up cloud services?
Yeah, sometimes the setup can be tricky.
But the video really emphasizes that setting up the Azure AI Vision Service itself is actually pretty straightforward.
Oh, really? Good to hear.
Yes, according to the video, it's largely automated. You essentially just create the service within the Azure portal that's Microsoft's web interface for managing everything Azure.
Right, the dashboard.
And the critical pieces of info you need to connect to it, which are the key and the endpoint address.
The credentials, basically.
Yeah, those are provided to you right away. The video even mentions that the ebook includes visual guides, like screenshots, showing you exactly where to click in the Azure interface.
That's always super helpful. Takes the guesswork out.
Definitely. It removes some of that initial barrier of just where do I even start?
Okay, so you've got the Azure service running. What about building the actual app, the .NET MUI part?
Right. So the video explains that you can use pre-built templates in Visual Studio to kickstart and configure your project.
Standard project setup.
Yeah, which again really speeds things up.
Yeah.
There's also a mention of needing to install a specific NuGet package.
Ah, NuGet.NET's package manager.
Exactly. These are essentially collections of pre-written code that you can easily add to your project to give it new capabilities, like talking to the Azure Vision Service.
Makes sense. You add the library for the Vision Service?
Pretty much. Yeah. And when it comes to the structure of the application itself, the video highlights that you mainly need to work with and modify two key files.
Okay, just two.
Primarily, yeah, for this example. The first is called mainpage.xaml.
XAML, that's the UI definition language, right?
Exactly. This is where you design the user interface, what the app actually looks like. And in this text extraction example, it's described as being quite simple but functional.
What's on it?
There's a space to display the image you select, then 3 input boxes where you enter the path to the image file, your Azure key, and the endpoint address.
Okay, the connection details.
Right. And then, of course, a button that says extract text or something similar.
Pretty clear. So that's the front end. What about the logic?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the part the user sees and interacts with. And then there's the main page.xaml.cs file. The CS is for C#.
The code behind.
Right. This is where all the actual logic happens. The video specifically mentions that this file contains the instructions, the code, for what to do when that extract text button is clicked, an event handler.
Gotcha. And clicking that button triggers the AI magic, presumably.
That's the idea. It's what happens when you click that button that's really the core of the intelligent bit.
So what does the code do?
The video explains that the image file you've selected is first converted into a binary format, basically. Ones and zeros the computer can work with.
Standard procedure for handling files.
Then, a specific tool, or a class as it's called in programming, from that Azure AI Vision Service SDK you installed.
The NuGet package.
Right. That class gets created, instantiated within your application's code. Think of it like picking up a specialized tool designed to talk to Azure about images.
Okay, creates an instance of the client library.
Yeah. And then, following object-oriented programming principles, the correct methods, the actions on that tool are called. This sends the image data up to the Azure service so it can do the text extraction.
So the local app packages the image, uses the library to call the cloud service, sends the data, and presumably gets the extracted text back.
That's the flow, yeah. It's a really streamlined process when you think about it. Your app running locally using .NET MUI is leveraging these really powerful AI capabilities hosted up in the cloud by Azure.
And the development process based on this sounds surprisingly manageable.
It does seem that way. And to see it all in action, the video mentions using Windows 11 development mode for testing the app.
Okay, running it locally on Windows.
Right.
And the result, what does the user actually see?
Well, at least in this particular example from the book, it's described as straightforward yet impressively effective. You upload an image, you click the button, and the application pulls out the text that's in that image, displays it somewhere on the screen, presumably.
Simple output, but powerful result.
Exactly. It really highlights the power of these cloud AI services and, maybe more importantly, how relatively easy it seems to be to integrate them into modern applications.
So the main point here, the big takeaway that the video really brings home, what would you say that is?
I think it's just how accessible building these quote-unquote intelligent apps has become.
Yeah.
By using modern development tools like .NET MAUI, working together with these specialized AI services in the cloud, like Azure AI Vision.
Right.
Tasks that might have seemed incredibly complex, maybe even sci-fi, just a few years ago, are now much more within reach for, many developers, not just AI PhDs.
That shift towards more accessible, task-specific AI tools is definitely a significant trend we're seeing.
Absolutely. And as we saw with that museum scenario, the Azure AI Vision service and its text extraction capabilities, they open up a huge range of possibilities across many different real-world situations, far beyond just old historical documents.
Oh, for sure. Think about potential applications in making information more accessible for people with visual impairments.
Great point.
Or automating data entry processes from scan forms or receipts. The list just goes on.
It really does.
And this signifies a broader trend, doesn't it? AI empowering people in specific domains without necessarily requiring them to be deep AI experts themselves.
Exactly. It really makes you consider how these kinds of AI-powered features could be incorporated into your own areas of interest or, your work.
What problems could you potentially solve?
Or what efficiencies could you create by just adding a bit of this intelligence to your existing workflows or applications? It's quite thought-provoking.
And that, perhaps, is the most compelling aspect of all of this. The continued advancements in AI coupled with the ongoing development of more user-friendly tools.
Like .NET MAUI and the Azure services.
Right. It means that building truly intelligent solutions is just becoming more and more accessible all the time.
It feels like an invitation, doesn't it? An invitation to explore, maybe to experiment a little.
And to see firsthand just how transformative these technologies can actually be. It's not just hype. There are practical tools you can use today.